Hello, today I am covering Model F, which is in my opinion the most specific model in the Mega Man ZX series, and the one that got last place in the poll I made for the Model ZX video. This will be my final time saying this in the series, because more likely than not, you have watched one of these before, but just in case you haven't, whenever I talk about a move, the damage and combo values will be in the top right corner of the screen. I do want to add that some of Model F's moves aren't numbered in any combo chart or wiki, so I'll be using the numbers I found. I'll make sure to make it obvious when that's the case. And for those who don't know, I'll be talking about the basics and more complex things about this model. Here's the games I'm covering, so let's get into it. Model F is based on Fafnir from the Mega Man Zero series. He's my favorite Guardian in the series, by a good margin, but again, I think all of them are great. In Mega Man ZX, you get Model F by defeating Fisleo, and it's further upgraded by defeating Flamol. In Advent, you get it by defeating Atlas. Model F has two weapons, which are its Knuckle Busters. Unlike the sabers on Model H, both of these are the exact same, having no exclusive moves. Before we get to the attacks, I need to cover the general stuff. Model F has the Biometal Gauge. The Biometal Gauge dictates if you can use charge moves or not, as charge moves spend Biometal Gauge. In Mega Man ZX, you also run out of Overdrive if you run out of Biometal Gauge. The Biometal Gauge cannot self-recover in Mega Man ZX, but it does in Advent, refilling by 1 point every 3 seconds. In Mega Man ZX, the lower level you get while being a Pseudoroid, the less Biometal Gauge you get. Model F has a mechanic that is only in Mega Man ZX. The other Guardian models have this as well, and so does Model OX. This mechanic is the Overdrive, which is activated by tapping A. When Overdrive is active, all of your attacks do double damage, and all of them inflict that model's respective element. Model F says the fire element. It being the fire element is more important in the stages and against enemies and bosses, so I'll cover the fire element in those sections. 1 point of the Biometal Gauge is depleted upon activation, and 1 point is depleted every second. Charged attacks do spend the Biometal Gauge as well. Finally, Model F has the most complex thing out of the models that have stuff on the bottom screen. In Model F's case, it's the Buster Edit. Here's how it works. As mentioned earlier, the lower level you get when being a Pseudoroid in Mega Man ZX, the less Biometal Gauge you get. This system also applies to the Buster Edit, as for every level you get to move the Buster Edit 1 tile, for a max of 8. In Advent, you get 4 tiles to start with after you beat Atlas, and you'll need to find upgrades to increase this amount. To use the Buster Edit, go to the menu, press the right stick, and then you can access it. Of course, the button or stick you use to open the Buster Edit will be different on the software you're using. The Buster Edit will change the way the Knuckle Busters shoot their shots, as they will shift direction. These include making your shots go up or downward, having them go in a diagonal direction before being forced to go straight, behind you, or having them be normal for a bit and then shifting direction. You can also have both of the Knuckle Busters go in different directions, so they can handle many situations. You have 63 tiles to work with, so you have a lot of options that even I can't think of. Starting with the attacks is the Knuckle Buster. The bullets and their firing rate depends on your mashing speed, and if you keep alternating the busters, which can be done by just mashing both buttons, the firing rate is even faster. Of course, the direction of these shots depends on what you set in the Buster Edit. If you hold up while shooting, the bullets will go directly upward, and they will not be changed by the Buster Edit. If the bullets kill an enemy, they will pierce through that enemy, and continue until they go off screen, hit a surface, or an enemy tanks it. This is the attack you'll use while dashing, on a wall, or in the air. This also applies to most charged moves. Model F has 2 charged moves in both games, but in Advent, the projectiles will depend on the character. These first 2 are exclusive to Gray. The first charged move exclusive to Gray is Megaton Crush W. This move is performed by holding Y or R and then releasing it. A punch is performed, and if there is sufficient Biometal Gauge, a fireball is shot from that buster, which has a moderate range, stopping around the center of the screen, assuming you shot from either side. If you hold up while using this move, it will be shot directly upward. In Advent, this move gets some cool changes. In ZX, if you had 2 or more points of Biometal Gauge, and you used this move, it would both shoot a fireball and consume Biometal Gauge. Now in Advent, neither of these happen as long as you shoot when you have blue sparks around you. It still happens if you have orange sparks around you though. If it hits a wall, a burst of flame is created, and depending on what buster you used, it will travel up or down the wall for a bit, and if it hits a ceiling, it will travel left or right on the ceiling for a bit. Even if you run out of biometal gauge, you can still use this move, just so you can't shoot a fireball at all. This move consumes 2 points of biometal gauge in CX, and it consumes 4 in Advent. The other charged move is Groundbreaker W. This move is performed by holding Y or R, holding down while on the ground, and then releasing it. A fire wave is created, and it will travel along the ground for a bit, but it can be stopped early if a wall or pit is in the way. The range of the fire wave is moderate, stopping at the center of the screen, assuming you shot from either side of it. This move consumes 4 points of the biometal gauge in both games. The first charged move exclusive to Ash is Megaton Crush B. This move is performed by holding Y or R and then releasing it. A punch is performed, and if there is sufficient biometal gauge, a bomb is shot from one of the busters. Unlike Gray's moves, these bombs will travel until they hit something or go off screen. If you hold up while using this move, it will be shot directly upward. When these bombs explode, the explosion lasts for about 1.5 seconds, doing great damage to anything caught in the blast. This move consumes 4 points of the biometal gauge. The other charged move is Groundbreaker B. This move is performed by holding Y or R, holding down while on the ground. A bomb is planted on the ground, which will explode after 2 seconds, with the explosion time itself not changing. This move consumes 4 points of the biometal gauge. For who has the better exclusive moves, it depends on what you value more. Moves that will hit less enemies, but do more damage to mini-bosses and bosses, and are simpler to use, or moves that will usually hit more enemies, do more damage to just them, and from a farther range, but do less damage to everything else, and are slightly harder to use. I say myself that the fireballs and fire waves are a bit better, but the bombs are still very strong. I am not saying they aren't. With the basics done, let's get to the complexities. Like with Model H and L, you can do reversals. Reversals are using a saber, or a melee weapon equivalent, performing the attack, and quickly going left and right on the D-pad or joystick. Reversals can be hard to do at first, but should be really easy when you do them enough. Reversals are good for getting more damage on enemies and mini-bosses, since they don't have invincibility frames. You can do reversals with Model F, H, L, CX, and OX. For Model F, you can only do reversals with the Megaton Crush's Punch, as it's a melee attack. When you shoot upward, the position of the busters do matter, as still has some slight horizontal distance away from each other. Assuming you don't swap the position of them, the main buster shoots slightly more to the right, while the sub buster shoots slightly more to the left. While in most cases, this won't matter too much, on some enemies, mini-bosses, or bosses, using the different busters can be the difference between hitting them or not. This complexity only applies to Advent. When the fireballs of Megaton Crush W hit a wall or ceiling, the flame burst will travel in different directions, depending on the buster you used. Assuming the position of these busters aren't swapped, the main buster will have the flame burst go up on a wall and right on a ceiling, while the other one will have the flame burst go down on a wall and left on a ceiling. This isn't too useful overall, but it has some nice situational uses, like against annoying enemies, or doing some extra damage to bosses that like to be near or on walls. This one is pretty obvious, but you can use several Model F's charge moves at the same time. Unlike Model H though, where one move needs to be used before the other one in order to not waste a charge, with Model F, you can just release both buttons at the same time, and they'll use the move you chose, if there's sufficient biometal gauge for both of them. Finally, with another obvious one, you can only have up to 4 Knuckle Buster bullets on screen at a time. If all 4 bullets are on screen, you cannot shoot again until one goes off screen. With the complexities listed, let's move on to the stages. Like with Model H and Model L, Model F has some special interactions in some stages. It's able to break the ice blocks in Area F, Arctic Ice Flow, and the ice spikes in Biolab. It can burn the vine and shake the tree in Area A, and it can destroy the different types of blocks in Area H, Area K, Area M, Hunter's Camp, Oil Field, Highway, Quarry, and Ouroboros. In the stages of Mega Man ZX, Model F is overall pretty good. It's the best one in Area F, as it can break the ice blocks, which both makes the stage a lot easier and shorter to go through. It's also pretty good in Area M for the same reason, but to a lesser extent. It's good in Area L, since the Buster Edit and Groundbreaker can help deal with annoying enemies and the mini satellites. Because like with Model H and Model L, if you hit a mini satellite with a fire element move, they will be turned off slightly longer than if you hit them with a no element move. It's good in Area X and Area O, but only because it can very easily deal with the mini-bosses there. In every other stage of Mega Man ZX, this model is good, but there isn't anything specific that makes it good. In Advent, it's a lot more mixed. It's of course great in Arctic Ice Flow, as you can break the ice, allowing you more access of the stage. Oil Field, since it can break these destroyable parts, revealing shortcuts and items. It's good in the Quarry, for the same reason, but that's because of the chase section. In Ouroboros it's good too, as they can reveal secrets, shortcuts, and it can break these blocks, making the stage a lot easier to go through. It's also good in Mysterious Lab, due to the bullets being able to pierce through enemies, which especially helps here, since a good amount of this stage is linear. Everywhere else Model F is good, whether due to enemy placement or stage design, but there's nothing that makes it stand out there. Overall, of course like every other model in both games, it's a lot better in ZX, while in Advent it's not as consistent, where it may be an option you don't really think about. With the stages traversed, let's move on to the enemies and bosses. Model F is amazing against enemies in both games. Not only does the Buster Edit let you adapt to almost any enemy, the amount of bullets you can shoot can kill any enemy very easily, even the tanky ones. It can only struggle against shielded enemies, but that could be easily overcome with one-shots. The fire element increases this insane damage even further, because it'll do a little more damage to them over time, but since you already do so much anyway, it may not be noticeable. Using Overdrive makes this damage go even higher, killing everything in 3 or less bullets. Even without Biometal Gauge, enemies will still die very fast. The Megaton Crush can knock back certain enemies, much like the Recoil Rod in Mega Man 03. This is both really cool and useful, as not only will the enemies be dead as soon as they hit something, but they can hit other enemies, which is instant death for most of them. For a final thing I find funny, it's immune to the ice slowing of these enemies. Against mini-bosses, I don't even need to say how absolutely overpowered it is. Model F's bullets do great damage on their own, and you can spam them very fast, so most mini-bosses will die very quickly. The Buster Edit can make any mini-boss hittable, making them way easier to deal with. Megaton Crush W is great against Tantalamias, as they do crazy damage in a single hit, overcoming their hiding, which would otherwise be annoying. And Groundbreaker W does amazing damage against mini-bosses that are on the ground. In Advent, the bombs from Megaton Crush and Groundbreaker B can do good damage to mini-bosses, especially if they have several hitboxes, but nowhere near as much as Groundbreaker W. In ZX, using Overdrive amplifies this amazing damage even more, allowing you to kill most mini-bosses in under 10 seconds. Overall in both games, Model F is the best model against all mini-bosses, by a decent margin. Not saying some other models don't get close, don't get me wrong, but Model F is good against all of them. Moving on to bosses, here are the combo charts for Model F in Mega Man ZX and ZX Advent. Pause if you want to read. As mentioned earlier in the video, Model F is a model of the fire element. If you need a refresher, the element system works like this. Fire is good against ice, ice is good against thunder, and thunder is good against fire. Null has no elemental strengths or weaknesses. All damage done is the same. What this means is that any fire move will deal more damage to ice bosses. Unlike the thunder and ice elements, the ice bosses won't have their collision turned off. Fire is neutral to itself and the null element, although using Overdrive in ZX against a fire boss will not increase damage. For thunder bosses, they take no damage from any moves of the fire element, meaning that they take longer to beat. This makes Model F by far the worst model to use against thunder bosses. This might be obvious, but the boost you get from Overdrive will only be the double damage, and all moves becoming the fire element. The extra damage the fire element does on enemies or mini-bosses will not apply to bosses. For combo routes in Mega Man ZX, it's pretty much just the 2 bullets into a Megaton Crush. This combo does pretty good damage on Ice and No bosses, doing a full health bar on the Ice bosses, but against Fire and Thunder bosses, it only does up to 14 damage max. This doesn't matter for most of them, but it does for Fisleo, because when he heals, he can heal up to 8 health, and since you only do 14 damage at best, he can either heal a good amount of your combo, depending on what you hit him with. Going back to combo routes, being creative with the Buster edit can give you more time for your Megaton Crushes, and if everything goes right, you can do 2 Megaton Crushes in a row, which does crazy damage against Ice bosses, and good damage against everything else. Speaking of Megaton Crushes, be careful with the Fireball, as in Mega Man ZX, if you hit a boss with it, you can't follow up into a punch or Fireball. Another thing is that if you're gonna do 2 Megaton Crushes in a row, make sure to do a jump before them, as not only will you stay in place if you do them on the ground, if the boss is knocked back by the first punch, you can follow up with the second one. You definitely notice I haven't mentioned Groundbreaker yet, and that's for a very good reason. The damage it does is just sad, as even against an Ice boss with Overdrive on, you only do 3 damage at best. Don't use this unless it's the final hit against the boss, I beg you. Overall for Mega Man ZX, Model F is easily the best model against Ice bosses. While it may not be great against Fire or Thunder bosses, you can still do good damage with enough skill. Just don't use Groundbreaker, unless it's for style points, please. Advent for the most part is unchanged. Of course, you lose Overdrive and half of your Biometal gauge, but you get some new stuff. The Flame Burst created by the Fireball if it hits a wall can combo after a Megaton Crush, which helps do a little extra damage. It can be an issue against a boss with walls, as the Flame Burst does have a higher combo value than both punches. The bombs can be cool, as they can combo into the Megaton Crush, but the bomb's explosion radius usually won't be able to hit every time, and since they only do 1 damage per hit, and this doesn't increase against Ice bosses, it's at best equal damage of shooting 2 bullets. I'm not saying they're useless, but just use the Fireballs instead, as they do more damage, and actually do elemental damage to Ice bosses. For another cool thing, since the Hive of Queen Bee and the first phase of Master Albert don't have invincibility frames, spamming bullets kills them very easily, making their fights much easier. Overall for Advent, this model is still really good against Ice bosses, and it's still decent against everything else, but not as much as Model ZX. Overall against bosses, Model F is pretty good in both games. You can do insane damage against Ice bosses, and you can still do good damage, even with an element disadvantage. Just make sure to avoid certain moves. Overall, I call Model F specific, since it's the only model with the issues it has, or at the very least shows them the best. But I call it special for the same reason, since it's the only model that can do things it can, like breaking terrain, knocking enemies and bosses, and being able to adapt to any situation. I have a poll up in my community tab, and you might have already seen it. You can vote for the model I'll cover next, which will be the last one I cover for the year, either Model A or Model OX. I'll have the future titles for both videos there. I'm not concrete on Model OX's title yet, so give me ideas if you're able to. Make sure to explain them if you do. Either way, they both are going to be very unique models to cover. This poll ends in a week, so make sure to vote if possible. Thanks for watching this video. I tried to do some experiments in my editing, and practice for a future video I plan on doing. Let me know what you think about it. As for that future video, I'll get into what that'll be near the end of the year, but I have a few plans and ideas, so what you'll see next is gonna be awesome. Don't worry in the slightest about that.